But when you think about it, what it's telling you, what it means is to be grateful for the situation that you are in, because I guarantee you it could be way worse. And when you look at it from that perspective,
A mental health break champions. We have a true rock star with us today. And as we get started, a mental health tip for everyone today is to take it at your own pace. I am guilty of this as well, but when we're going, listen to your body. If you need to pause, remember to do so. And welcome back to a mental health break. Today, as I mentioned, we have a great guest, someone I've had the chance to know over a few calls. She's doing big things and a stark depiction of childhood trauma. Unbroken. Her story is a harrowing coming-of-age story that defines what it means to be resilient in the face of unimaginable odds. Adriene, thank you for spending some time with me again, this time right here on A Mental Health Break.
thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege to be here.
It's been absolutely great to connect with you, and I know how passionate you are about sharing your story, helping people in similar shoes, and you have a lot of areas that you do discuss. So everyone, we're going to dive into just a few, but don't worry, at the end of the show, I'll share her contact info with you. You'll know how to get in touch with her. But if you're tuning in, I have to welcome you back to A Mental Health Break, the #1 podcast for mental health champions. And I want to thank you for keeping the show a top 5% global show. And a big thanks to all my guests who allow us to make difference on a bigger scale. I launched this show after surviving and recovering from a traumatic brain injury. You're about to learn Adriene's story. So Adriene, what do you feel like talking about today?
Well, I'm going to give a list of traumas that I have experienced. These are covered in my book, Unbroken: Life Outside the Lines. And the book is from my early childhood to early 20s. But during that time, I was either the witness to or the victim of the sexual assault of a young child, the drowning death of a child, emotional and physical abuse, extreme poverty, mental illness, homelessness, horrifically abusive foster care, bulimia, drug and alcohol addiction, pedophilia, death, suicide, and incest. So I'm going to leave it up to you to pick a topic and I will share a story.
Well, thank you for being so open and willing to share all of those things. Congratulations on how far you continue to come and go. I think right now, present day, things are getting expensive, right? A lot of people are stressing about their finances. You mentioned you've overcome some adversity and poverty, right? So let's talk about your story and then relate it to mental health.
Okay. So a little bit of background. My mother had me when she was 19. She was not able to pursue her career. She wanted to be a nurse. Instead, schizophrenia hit. My grandfather was schizophrenic. He sexually abused my mother. She became schizophrenic. And my life was, majority of it was spent with a set of aunts and uncles. Two sets, one aunt and uncle, Aunt Rose, Uncle John, Uncle Luke, and Aunt Lynn. My mother wasn't able to afford a place of our own. We tried living independently, but I mean, we're talking bare apartments with no furniture, not even a mattress. Now, while we were living with my mother's brother, so Aunt Rose and Uncle John, and the other aunt and uncle, we were poor. So we were on welfare, we were on food stamps, but we had a roof over our head. Now, my mother beat me, physically beat me. Hangers, books, shoes. One time was a dog leash. And my Aunt Rose found out about it. She saw the marks on me and asked me to show her. And my Uncle John is the patriarch in the family. After my grandmother passed, he took over on that role. And he tried to talk to my mother, Marigold. And Nothing ever came of it. She would stop for a month or two, maybe 3, but it was just cyclical. Every 2 to 3 months, I would get a beating, and then he would have a talk with her, but it would just pick right back up again. So 4th grade, living with Aunt Rose and Uncle John, my mother decided that she wanted to find out about government housing and living independently. She didn't want to have to answer about her parenting to her brother and his wife. She wanted to be on her own, which was, looking back, not a great idea. So she went down to the social services offices and asked, what does it take for me to get an apartment? And they said, well, you're living with family, so you're not as high of a priority as somebody who is homeless. So my mother decides that we are going to be homeless. So summer after 4th grade, Aunt Rose and Uncle John took us to the downtown Salvation Army, downtown Houston, where the sky rises are. And we spent that summer living in that homeless shelter. And it was awful. It was awful. So my mother being very paranoid, we were extremely isolated. During breakfast, we never spoke with anyone. And then the shelter from 10 until 3 o'clock. So basically the hottest times of the day. And remember, we're in downtown Houston where you can see like the steam rising from the concrete. You can see the waves. We were kicked out of the shelter. They made everyone leave. I'm not really sure what the logic was. I thought maybe they were trying to encourage people to get jobs, or I have no idea. But it meant that my mother, myself, and my 3-year-old brother, we were basically walking the streets of downtown Houston with absolutely nowhere to go, nothing to do, no place to sit. The metal benches, were scalding hot. You'd get burned. And we lived there right up until the start of 5th grade. And we were notified about a week before school started, they had an apartment come available for us. And it's called Haverstock Hill Apartment Complex. I call it Haverstock Hell. So if anybody were to Google it today, just Haverstock Hill Apartments, Houston, you would see things like, there aren't too many murders, or as long as you mind your own business and you ignore the drug deals and the prostitution, you'll be fine. My mother and I and my brother, we were the only white people in the entire complex, just entire complex. So I have an intense love of 90s rap and hip hop. I do. I love it because that's what I would hear playing. That's what I'd see the girls dancing to. So it was kind of normal for me. One time when I was in 6th grade, so elementary school was next door. And 6th grade, we had to go up to the convenience store, which was at the front of the apartment complex for the bus stop. And this boy came up to me and he started picking on me. And this giant 8th grader, I mean, he had to be at least 6 foot tall in 8th grade, big black guy. He walked up to the little kid and he's like, hey, you leave her alone. Don't mess with her. And after that, I had no problems whatsoever. Nobody gave me any grief. But we were so poor. I can tell you the furniture that we had in our apartment. We had a mattress in my brother and my room. We slept on one mattress together. My mother had a dresser. We had a milk crate, and on top of it, a 12-inch black and white TV. Yeah, that was it for a long time. Eventually, Aunt Rose and Uncle John brought my mother a mattress to sleep on. We were so poor that we couldn't afford toilet paper. We had to use washcloths instead. We couldn't afford toothpaste, so we used baking soda. We couldn't afford to go to the laundromat because my mom just didn't have the money. And we washed our clothes in the bathtub. And the soap that we used for that was the same soap that we used for our dishes, that we used for our hair, for our body. It was just extreme, abject poverty that even poor people recognize as, wow, that is truly poor. And I actually had my third grade math teacher, Dr. Ann Weiss. She would come to the apartment complex, which is literally taking her life in her own hands. Like, white people don't come to this place, not unless they're looking for drugs. So she would come and she would bring me travel size shampoos and conditioners, body wash. She knew that we couldn't afford it. So even though we were in, just dire straits, we were malnutrition. We lived in what is now called a food desert. We didn't have that term back when I lived in it. We had the convenience store, or there was a little mart across the street, but we didn't eat meat. We lived off of baked potatoes and peanut butter. And by the time we went into CPS custody, we were malnourished. So we were really poor. And my mother was schizophrenic, untreated. She didn't have a social worker, and it was hell. And by being in that apartment, my two aunts and uncles, two sets of aunts and uncles, they visited 3, maybe 4 times over those 2 years. So my mother had free reign. And I mean, she was just falling down the insanity ladder. It was dark. She would say things like, David Bowie was my brother's father, and Mick Jagger was her father and my father. Just crazy stuff like that. But yeah, that's poverty. Later on, when I became a ward of the state, there's a whole long story beside that. The foster parent that we lived with, it was abusive, but also we get $100 voucher for clothes from Walmart like every 6 months, just regular standard children's protective services stuff. So I am intimately familiar with poverty.
Well, another big congratulations to how far you've now come. Published author, doing her tour right now that we're lucky enough to bring to this show. Don't worry, everyone. We're going to bring her back in 6 months or so, and we're going to get her back on the show to continue this talk, see all of your great growth. Let me now ask you, Adriene, for a piece of advice to anyone who's tuning in and struggling today.
So I'll give you two. One is hope for the best, expect the worst, accept what comes. My other one, and it sounds negative, but just hear me out. My other one is it can always get worse. And like I said, that doesn't sound like a very positive, uplifting motto or axiom. But when you think about it, what it's telling you, what it means is to be grateful for the situation that you are in, because I guarantee you it could be way worse. And when you look at it from that perspective, it gives you, even if you're in a shitty situation, and I'm not denying shitty situations, I've lived plenty of them, but it gives you just a tiny bit of perspective, a little bit of gratitude. And that's sometimes what you really need. You just need that gratitude and acceptance. So
Good.
that's something that resonates deeply with me.
I always try to maintain that mindset too. And of course, it's easier said than done. But when things feel like the end of the world, I try to say, okay, last year I would have done anything for this situation, right? And you talk about other things that in life could be challenging when the problem could be microscopic in hindsight. So thank you for sharing that. Before I let you go, though, Adriene, I got to ask, what are some things you do to take care of your mental health now, where if someone is having trouble being to a place to find the gratitude in life, get back to their baseline? And of course, everyone, you hear me say this almost every show. What works for some won't work for everyone. I'm hoping to add a few more tools to your tool chest right now with Adriene.
Okay. So obviously, I have my psychiatrist. I've been with her since 2008. We have a great rapport. Unfortunately, she's retiring at the end of August, so I am deeply traumatized. I'm losing my psychiatrist of almost 2 decades. It's a big loss here. No, I take time for myself. And that saying, put your own oxygen mask on first, that's really true. If you are not well, if you are not taking care of yourself, if you are not taking the time that you need, then there's no way you're going to be at your best or be able to provide the best care to those who rely on you. So definitely that. I also like to remind myself that, and I'm not talking about clinical depression, but I like to remind myself that happiness is a choice. You can make a choice to see the situation as horrible and awful and the worst thing in the world. You can also look for the highlights. I'm not dismissing or diminishing major depressive disorder. I suffer from it, moderate, recurrent. I've been on meds since I was 15 years old. I understand that your brain, when you're traumatized repeatedly, your brain stops making the happy chemicals. So you have to put them into your body. And I felt so judged and so defective when I was first given antidepressants. And I've taken a much different view on it. My body doesn't make what I need, so I supplement. And that's the same problem as a diabetic with insulin. And nobody looks down on a diabetic for needing insulin. It's the exact same thing. Our body doesn't produce it. We need to supplement. And once I got to that point, I no longer felt defective or deficient. So, yeah, that was really important for me to learn.
Oh my goodness. You crushed this entire episode. I got so much value out of it. Everyone listening on, I know you had to do the same. We shared her story, of course, some mental health tips that work for you, some advice, but what everyone's probably been waiting for. We got to just know where to get this book, where to say hi to you, all of those things.
Okay, go to my website. It is Unbroken Caldwell, Cald, Unbroken Caldwell. Sign up. The form will pop up. Just put your name and email. I'm not going to spam anyone a million times. And you can actually receive the prologue in chapter 1, and you can pre-order as well. So I'm shooting for an October 7 release. I want to coordinate it. Not sure if you know, but that week is Mental Health Awareness Week. I really want the book to come out during that week and have some events around it.
I'm
Haven't
sure.
gotten that far. I don't have the plans yet, but I'm working on it.
Oh, well, I'm sure it will be great and come out right when it's meant to be. Keep taking those small, actionable steps every day to get right where you need to be. Everyone, be sure to say hello to her online as well. Where can we say hello to you?
Unbroken Caldwell, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I would love to hear from anybody.
I love
So
it. Unbroken Caldwell on social media. She's got her website. Again, everyone, the book Unbroken coming your way next month on October 7th. My name is Vincent A. Lancy, and this is a mental health break. Remember to subscribe to stay current with our mental health champions. Leave a review. Let us know how much you love the show today. We're brought to you by Coming Alive Podcast Production, the go-to experts, comingalivepodcastproduction.com. And with that, we're signing off today with the one and only Adriene Caldwell. Thank you so much.
thank you so much for having me.